ドジャースが2年連続でワールドシリーズを制し、ロサンゼルスは再び熱狂に包まれました。ポストシーズンのナ・リーグ優勝決定シリーズ第4戦の3本塁打10奪三振。この伝説の試合は MLB が選ぶ2025年の伝説的瞬間に正式に選出されました。二刀流完全復活からわずか5ヶ月での完全復活に野球界からは称賛の声が止まりません。そしてワールドシリーズ2連覇の熱狂から数日後、すぐに本拠地にて愛犬デコピンとトレーニングを開始した大谷翔平選手。ワールドシリーズ2連覇の余韻もそこそこに、すでに次のシーズンへ向けて動き始めたその姿勢に、ファンからは驚きと称賛の声が上がっています。そして優勝直後のクラブハウスで語ったある一言が今多くの注目を集めているのです。今回は大谷翔平選手が見据えるとんでもない未来とその裏側にある本音、さらに球団社長のスタン・カステン氏がポッドキャストにて明かした秘話まで詳しくお伝えします。
Yeah. You know, I want to ask you about Japan. What the Dodgers are doing to turbocharge interest in Major League Baseball in Japan, it's incredible. It's obviously working great for the Dodgers. How do you think it's working for the rest of the sport?
Well, let's remember, we have 3 Japanese players. I think that's more coincidence than anything else. There are plenty really good Japanese players spread around the major leagues. We all know about that. I don't see us, ever having a team exclusively or even primarily Japanese players, but we'll continue to follow it. And I think what we have done is highlight for everyone that there is a real stream of talent there that we should all be tapping into. I'll never forget, I was, again, doing my duty in Atlanta when this player named Ichiro came over here. And I'm going to tell you, until Ichiro came over here, we didn't know that a Japanese position player could really succeed here. We didn't know that. And then we find out, wait a second, he's actually the best player in the world, including here in the major leagues. We found that out. And that opened a lot of doors. So we all learn from the lessons that other teams show us. We all copy whatever good practices we can see. And us pursuing the Japanese players is one thing.
Do you have a favorite story of the Shohei negotiations?
I have a couple. I told him we were sitting around once, and I told him, we first started pursuing you not 6 years ago, but 10 years ago when he was making the decision. Leaving high school, does he play over there or does he sign with the Dodgers? Our scouts, we thought, were able to convince his family to come here. In the end, his father prevailed in keeping him there. Who can argue with that decision? But I said 6 years ago, you made a decision, and if you'd made a different decision, it would have changed your life and our lives for the better. And I looked at him in the eye and I said, don't make the same mistake. He just laughed out loud. And then the other thing I do need to tell you, he was walking around the clubhouse, and we were still one of those teams that only had one batting cage. Okay, fine. We only had one batting cage. Other teams I'm seeing, they have 2 batting cages. Okay, really? You think we should have 2? That's in our plan. We're going to have 2 batting cages. So we did put in a second batting cage. After his first year, it's time to put in the second batting cage. And to do that, we had to tear up the lower level of our ballpark, tear out all the seats, dig down, expand the facilities, do all that, and get a new batting cage, along with a lot of other things. And so he's in my office one day in the off season, and we're looking down at the field, which is a construction site at its worst. Okay, just horrible, because we're putting in the batting cage along with other things. And I say to him, Sho, we need this other batting cage. I get it, but last year you did 50-50, and last year we won the Silver Slugger for team offense. We did all that with one batting cage. So do we really need it? And he looks at me deadly seriously and says, Stan, the batting cage is my home. I go, okay, I got nothing to that then, but you got it. He was sincere about it, and I thought that was just great.
I love it. I think every year you win the World Series, you should add another batting cage. That'll keep him happy.
It's weird you say that because when we won this year's Silver Slugger also, and I went up to him and I said, if we hadn't, I would have really been upset. We put in the batting cage, but it's really true that you've heard this before. After we win last year in Yankee Stadium, he comes up to me. He was saying it to everyone, 9 more to go, Stan. And then this year, as soon as it was over, the first thing he says is 8 more to go. He's fixated on that, and he keeps working toward it. And I'm not anyone to say he can't lead us to that. I'm not going to say it's impossible.
You can't say that guy can't do anything. This is a question from Doug. And, you knew when you signed him, he was maybe the most talented human being ever to play baseball. So now you've watched him have a 50-50 season. You've watched him hit 3 home runs in the middle of pitching a 10 strikeout 2 hitter on the same night in a postseason game when he also hit a ball out of the stadium and sent you to the World Series. But has anything from Shohei's 2 seasons as a Dodger surprised even you?
On the personal side, I have to say an immediate yes, because once we got through that first game in Korea when the news broke about what we later learned was a swindle by his interpreter. Once we got through that, and the interpreter was no longer the wall separating Shohei from everyone else, we learned Shohei's such a terrific guy. Once we could communicate with him directly, we learned how much fun he was in the clubhouse, how good he was with his teammates, how much he cares. We didn't know any of those things because we were told he doesn't want to do this, he doesn't want to do that, he doesn't want to do this, really limited his media appearances. That wasn't ever Shohei. That was always the interpreter. And once that came down, we learned so much more about him that was really great. And the other thing I will say on the field, which is extraordinary, and you've heard me say it before, I'll say it again, we know what the body of a 50 home run hitter looks like. We know that. We also know what the body of a 50 stolen base player looks like. He looks like Doug Glanville. But those are not the same bodies. Those are not the same humans. And this human does that. Oh, and he also pitches. That's all I can say to sum that up.
Yeah, well done.
今回の動画への感想もコメント欄で教えてください。なお、今回の動画が良かったら高評価ボタンを押してくださり、通知ボタンもオンにしてくださると励みになります。以上、今回も動画をご視聴いただきありがとうございました。別の動画でもお会いできるのを楽しみにしております。